Have you ever looked around and felt like something about this world doesn't quite add up? That maybe there's more to life than routines, achievements, and expectations? That quiet nudge you feel inside, the one that questions everything, is not just curiosity, it's your soul's first whisper. The beginning of your spiritual evolution doesn't arrive with fireworks. It comes in silence, in restlessness, in moments of stillness when the noise fades and something deeper calls. This is the awakening. It's not a destination, it's a rupture. Suddenly, the world you knew starts to feel foreign. Your relationships, your job, even your desires begin to lose their grip. It's like waking up in a dream and realizing you've been asleep for years. You may start noticing patterns that repeat, people who drain you, and truths that once comforted you now feel hollow. You no longer chase approval the same way. Something is shifting inside, and you can't ignore it anymore. This shift isn't always graceful. It can be disorienting, confusing, and even painful. But in that discomfort lies the seed of truth. You are not who they told you to be. You are something more, and for the first time, your soul is stretching beyond survival and reaching toward meaning. This stage marks a departure from the external and a turning inward. You begin searching, books, teachings, practices. You might feel drawn to meditation, to nature, to silence. But the awakening isn't about doing more. It's about unlearning, about remembering. The systems, beliefs, and identities you've inherited begin to dissolve. And though you may feel lost, what's really happening is that you are finally shedding what was never you. This isn't about becoming spiritual. It's about remembering that you've always been. The question isn't whether your soul is awake. The question is, are you listening? At this stage, life is governed entirely by the mind and the ego. Decisions are based on fear, survival, and the pursuit of external validation. The individual lives disconnected from their inner world, believing that happiness lies in possessions, status, or control. Emotions dominate, but they're misunderstood. Anger, jealousy, anxiety, they come and go without introspection. Life feels like a constant reaction to circumstances. There's no awareness of being more than the body, the name, the story. This is not ignorance by choice. It's a form of spiritual amnesia. The soul is still present, but buried beneath years of programming, societal conditioning, and pain. In this state, identity is fragile. People measure themselves by how others perceive them. Success is defined by comparison. Love is mistaken for attachment. Inner peace is unknown. There is a constant craving for stimulation, distraction, and entertainment, anything to avoid silence. Why? Because in silence, truth begins to surface. And truth for someone asleep is terrifying. Here, patterns repeat endlessly. Toxic relationships, self-sabotage, cycles of guilt and blame. The person doesn't yet realize they're attracting lessons. They just feel like life is unfair, but the soul never gives up. It plants discomfort like seeds. Eventually, suffering becomes so persistent that the person begins to question. Something doesn't feel right, something is missing. That moment of questioning, even if brief, is monumental. It's the beginning of a fracture in the illusion. Some ignore it and stay asleep for decades. Others take notice. That single doubt, that subtle crack in the belief system, is everything. It is the invitation. The soul does not rush. It waits for readiness. It waits for permission. And when the first question appears, when a person wonders, is this all there is? The slumber begins to break. This isn't a failure of the ego. It's a signal. The pain isn't punishment. It's a message. The soul is calling from beneath the noise, urging the self to remember. Not to escape reality, but to finally face it. This phase begins when the illusion of control starts to dissolve. It's not triggered by curiosity. It's usually triggered by crisis, a breakup, a death, a burnout, or even an unexplained emptiness. Suddenly, the old ways of coping no longer work. Distractions lose their effect. Achievements feel hollow. The pain that once could be ignored becomes unbearable. And beneath that pain, a door opens. This is the spiritual awakening. It's not peaceful or easy. It's a collision with everything you thought was true. Beliefs begin to collapse. Roles lose meaning. The ego starts to panic. But in the middle of the chaos, a new awareness is born. Here, people begin seeking answers beyond logic. They explore meditation, energy, sacred texts, or ancient philosophies. Not to look enlightened, but because their soul demands it. There's a magnetic pull toward truth. Life stops being just material. It starts to feel symbolic. Numbers, dreams, synchronicities, they all seem to carry messages. You're not imagining it. Your perception is changing. Your senses are expanding. You begin to sense the existence of something greater, and at the same time, something deeper within. You are no longer just a person with goals. You are a soul with memory. But this stage is not the destination. It's a doorway. Many mistake the awakening as the final step. They attach to labels, practices, or identities like healer, empath, or light worker. But attachment in spiritual form is still attachment. The ego can wear robes and speak softly and still be ego. The true awakening is not about adopting a spiritual image. It's about confronting everything that isn't real, including within yourself. The truth is raw, and as your vibration rises, everything misaligned begins to fall away. Relationships end, habits crumble, you feel pulled away from everything familiar. This is not a punishment, it's a clearing. The soul is creating space for what's real, and while this expansion feels liberating, it also comes with isolation. You feel you're outgrowing the world, but not yet part of a new one. That in-between space, it's where transformation begins. This is the most misunderstood and feared stage of spiritual evolution. After awakening, many expect clarity, peace, and joy, but instead they enter a void. This is the dark night of the soul. It's not a metaphor. It's a profound collapse of identity. Everything you thought you were, everything you built your life upon, beliefs, roles, relationships, dreams, begins to dissolve. You don't recognize yourself anymore. You feel disconnected not only from the world, but from your purpose, your intuition, even from the divine. It feels like the light has disappeared. But this darkness is not an absence of light. It's the purification before the dawn. Here, the soul demands absolute honesty. No more masks, no more stories, no more spiritual bypassing. You are forced to face your deepest wounds, your suppressed emotions, your hidden fears. It's painful because nothing distracts you now. It's a spiritual death. But it's also a sacred rebirth. Your ego doesn't die, it's transformed. You stop seeking validation. You stop trying to be someone. Instead, you begin to surrender. Not in defeat, but in trust. You realize you were never meant to control this journey. You were meant to experience it fully, with all its discomfort and beauty. In this space, time distorts. Days feel heavy, nights are endless. There's no clear direction and no guarantee of relief, but something within keeps you going. A faint inner flame that refuses to extinguish. That flame is your essence. It's untouched by your suffering. It watches you break, not to destroy you, but to reveal what cannot be broken. This process strips you bare until only truth remains. Not spiritual knowledge, but raw being. Silence becomes your teacher. Emptiness becomes your sanctuary. And slowly, without warning, something shifts. You begin to feel light, not as a concept, but as presence. You notice beauty in ordinary things. A breath, a sound, a tear. The world hasn't changed, but your perception has. You are no longer seeking escape, you're learning to be. And in that stillness, a new strength rises. Not loud, not proud, but unshakable. You've walked through the fire, not to burn, but to remember you are the light. This level marks a profound shift in how you relate to reality. You no longer see yourself as a separate entity moving through life. You begin to feel life moving through you. It's not about beliefs anymore, it's about direct experience. Duality fades. You don't just understand the concept of oneness, you feel it. The boundaries between self and others dissolve. You perceive energy, not just form. You recognize emotions not as who you are, but as passing waves. Thoughts lose their grip. Silence becomes nourishment. This is the expansion of consciousness, not a theory, but a new state of being. Your intuition becomes your compass. It's subtle but precise. You no longer chase signs, you live in alignment. Life responds to your vibration. You begin to notice synchronicities that guide your actions. The universe is no longer a distant force. It feels like an extension of your inner world. You operate less from logic and more from resonance. If it drains you, it's not for you. If it expands you, it's aligned. You let go of attachments, not because you're detached, but because you trust the flow. Relationships evolve. Some fall away naturally. Others deepen in authenticity. You no longer seek people to complete you. You meet them from a place of wholeness. Your words carry frequency. Your presence heals without effort. You don't preach, you embody. People may not understand what changed, but they feel it. You radiate stillness. You listen without judgment. You observe without reacting. That is power, not the kind that dominates, but the kind that liberates. Challenges still arise, but you face them differently. You don't resist pain. You integrate it. You don't escape discomfort. You listen to its message. Every moment becomes an opportunity to expand, to learn, to remember. You no longer live from the surface. You move from your essence. Time slows down. Beauty becomes louder. Even in chaos, you find order. This is not about perfection, it's about presence. And when you live in presence, you become the bridge between the seen and the unseen. You are no longer searching for the path. You are the path. At this final stage of spiritual evolution, there is no longer a gap between who you are and why you're here. You no longer act from a place of seeking or proving. You serve. Life becomes an offering. Every breath, every choice, every interaction is guided by something higher than the mind. You don't need to think about purpose. It moves through you effortlessly. You are a vessel for the divine, and your mission is not self-created. It's soul-revealed. There's no more hesitation, you know. Not mentally, energetically, deeply, completely. This level is marked by total alignment. There is no inner conflict, no resistance, no fragmentation. Your ego, now integrated, no longer leads. It supports. Your human identity is not rejected. It becomes the perfect instrument through which spirit flows. You operate with clarity, not ambition, with focus, not force, with compassion, not obligation. You are no longer driven by what the world wants from you, but by what your soul was encoded to bring into it. This is not a job or a title. It is a frequency, a vibration, a divine assignment that unfolds moment by moment. Here, service becomes sacred. Not because it earns recognition, but because it heals the world without needing to be seen. You understand that light is not what you shine at others. It's what you become. Your mere existence uplifts. You create change through energy, not effort. Through presence, not persuasion. You teach without words. You lead without control. You love without condition. And you give without depletion. Because what you give is not yours to begin with. It flows through you endlessly. This state is rare not because it's inaccessible, but because it requires surrender of everything false. You don't reach this level by climbing, you arrive by dissolving. All masks, all expectations, all illusions must fall. What remains is essence, pure, radiant, and humble. You are no longer part of the divine plan. You are the divine plan in motion. Life doesn't happen to you. It emanates from you, and from this space, you don't just live aligned, you become the alignment others didn't know they were seeking. Now the question arises, not from curiosity but from self-inquiry. Where are you in this journey? Not as a judgment, not as comparison, but as a reflection. This path is not linear. It doesn't follow a clock or a calendar. You may shift between stages, revisit old lessons, or experience multiple levels simultaneously. That's not regression, that's integration. True evolution is spiral, not straight. What matters is not speed, but sincerity. Not how far you've gone, but how deeply you've allowed yourself to be transformed. Each level serves a sacred function. The unconscious stage teaches contrast. The awakening shakes the illusion. The darkness cleanses. The expansion liberates. And divine union brings it all into purpose. None is superior. Each is holy, and each requires your full presence to unfold its wisdom. The point is not to rush toward the end. The point is to inhabit every stage with awareness, to honor where you are, and to recognize that even the confusion has meaning. Even the stillness is movement. Even the silence speaks. So where are you now? Are you awakening, struggling in the void, rising into clarity? Are you living in alignment, or simply beginning to hear the whispers of something more? Whatever your answer, it's valid. The path is not a test, it's a remembrance. You are not lost, you are unfolding. And every step you take, even the hesitant ones, brings you closer to the truth you've always carried inside. You don't need to become anything. You need only remove what you are not. Your soul knows the way. It's been guiding you through the questions, the doubts, the synchronicities, the longing. It speaks through pain, through wonder, through silence. Listen to it, honor it, trust it. And as you do, you'll see that this journey was never about reaching a final level. It was about coming home to what you've always been, light in human form, walking its path back to the source. If this content made sense to you, don't stop here. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future content. Now, watch this next video where I'll show you another essential step to transform your reality. I'll see you there.